If you see this note on your door, don't open it. I didn't know what time it was when I woke up, but the house was too quiet. Too still. I walked slowly toward my front door because I could hear someone breathing on the other side. Not heavy breathing, soft breathing, like they were trying not to be heard. My hand was shaking as I reached for the lock, and that's when I saw it. A note. A small, white note stuck to the door. The handwriting looked rushed and messy, like the person wrote it while running. But I could still read the words clearly, and those words made my whole body freeze. If you see this note on your door, don't open it. My heart jumped. I stepped back. And then, something on the other side of the door placed its hand flat against the wood. A slow tap 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 followed. Not like knocking. More like it was feeling for me. The breathing grew louder. And then the thing whispered my name. Liam, open the door. I didn't move. I didn't answer. I didn't even breathe. Then the doorknob started turning by itself. Click. 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 It was trying to come in. And that's when the note suddenly fell off the door by itself, landing at my feet. When I bent to pick it up, I noticed there was something written on the back of the note, something I hadn't seen before. And the words made my blood turn cold. It knows you're awake. Before I could look up, the door began to open. By itself. And that is where everything started. Earlier that day, I wasn't thinking about danger. I wasn't thinking about anything scary. It was just a normal cloudy morning, and I was home alone. My parents had traveled for 2 days for a family event, so the house felt extra big and extra quiet. The day went slow. Nothing strange happened at first, except for one thing. My dog, Pepper, kept staring at the front door. Not barking, just staring. Like she could see something I couldn't. I laughed and told her, "There's nothing there." But she didn't move. Around evening, the sky became darker than usual. It looked like night had arrived too early. I checked the clock, only 6:12 p.m. I tried to ignore the weird feeling, but I kept hearing small sounds, like footsteps on the porch. Every time I looked out the window, nobody was there. At 8 p.m., the power flickered twice. At 8:15, Pepper growled at the door for the first time. Not a playful growl. A warning growl. Something was outside. I tried to act brave. Probably the wind, I told myself. But I knew it wasn't the wind. Around 10 p.m., I heard it for the first time. Tap, tap, tap. Slow. Careful. Like someone tapping their finger on the door. I froze. Pepper hid under the table. "Hello?" I called out, even though I shouldn't have. No answer. Just another slow, gentle tap, tap, tap. I decided to ignore it and went to my room. I tried to sleep, but something kept waking me up, a dream, a noise, I'm not sure. Until finally, at around midnight, Pepper barked loudly and ran to the front door. That's when I got up, followed her, and saw the note for the first time. Stuck to my door. Fresh handwriting. Not there before. I stepped closer to read it. But before I could touch the note, the doorknob turned by itself. Something was trying to get in. Pepper growled louder, then suddenly ran backward as the whole door began to shake like someone was pushing it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who, or what, was outside. But then, the shaking stopped. Everything went silent. Too silent. And then, just when I thought it was over, a black shadow slid under the door. Not like a person's shadow. Not like anything normal. It moved like smoke. Like it was alive. And it started crawling toward me. The thing that knows your name. The shadow moved like it had bones inside it. It slid across the floor, slow and careful, like it didn't want to scare me, yet. Pepper barked, but her bark sounded weak, like she didn't want to get too close to it. The shadow stopped only a few inches from my bare foot. And then, it rose. Not fast. Not sudden. It lifted itself upward like smoke forming into a shape. A tall, thin shape. I couldn't see a face. I couldn't see eyes. but I could feel it staring at me. Liam! It whispered again, but this time the voice didn't come from outside the door. It came from inside my room. Right beside me. I couldn't scream. My throat closed. Pepper whined and hid behind the couch. The shadow leaned forward, like it was smelling me. Then it spoke one more time. You opened your eyes too early. Before I could move, before I could even blink. The shadow suddenly fell flat, like someone stomped on it, and it slid back under the door as fast as water being sucked away. I ran. I don't even know where I planned to go, but I ran down the hallway, shaking so hard my teeth hit each other. The lights flickered again. Once. Twice. Then everything went dark. The quiet after the fear. I stood in the darkness, breathing fast. My heart felt like it was trying to break out of my chest. Pepper crawled to me and pressed her head against my leg. The house was silent again. Too silent. I waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Nothing. No tapping. No whispering. No shadow. I slowly walked back to the living room and switched on my phone's flashlight. The beam shook because my hands were shaking. I pointed it at the door. The note was gone. Not torn. Not on the floor. Just gone. I checked the windows, nobody. I checked the hallway, empty. I even checked under the couch. Nothing. I must be dreaming, I whispered to myself. Pepper looked at me like she didn't believe that either. I made a plan. Stay awake. Keep all the lights on. Call my parents in the morning. Pretend nothing happened. I sat on the couch, hugging Pepper, watching every corner of the room. After a long time, I started to feel sleepy, not normal sleepy, but heavy sleepy, like something was pushing my eyes closed. I blinked. Then blinked again. And then I woke up. But I didn't remember falling asleep. Something had changed. The first thing I noticed was the clock. It said 3:08 a.m. The exact same time I always wake up when I have nightmares. The second thing I noticed. The house wasn't quiet anymore. I heard footsteps. Slow ones. Walking inside the house. Not outside. Inside. My stomach twisted. I grabbed my phone and pointed the flashlight around the room. Pepper was still asleep on my lap, which scared me even more. She never slept through noises. The footsteps stopped right behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Then the breathing started again. Right at the back of my neck. Soft. Slow. Cold. And then something touched my shoulder. A freezing, thin hand. I screamed and spun around. But nobody was there. The footsteps started again. This time running toward the hallway. Pepper woke up barking like crazy. I held her close, but she jumped out of my arms and ran after the sound. Pepper! No! I grabbed my phone and ran after her. The hallway felt longer than before. Darker than before. Then Pepper stopped. She stood perfectly still. Growling low. I looked at what she was staring at. And froze. Because hanging on the hallway wall, where nothing had been before, was a new note. Same handwriting. Same rushed look. But this one said, "IT got inside." Before I could even breathe. The lights snapped off again. And from the darkness, I heard something move right behind me. The night that wouldn't end. The darkness felt thick, like it had weight. Something moved behind me, fast. I turned my flashlight on, but the light only reached a small area, like the darkness was swallowing it. "Pepper?" I whispered. No answer. Just the sound of breathing again. Not mine. Slow. Deep. Right next to my ear. I took a small step forward. The floor creaked under my foot. Then the breathing stopped. Completely. And the silence that followed scared me even more. I held the flashlight tighter and whispered, "Who's there?" A voice answered from the darkness. "You should have stayed asleep." I spun around, but the voice moved with me, circling me in the dark. "You woke up too early." Liam. My knees almost gave out. What do you want? It whispered back. Your door was never supposed to open. Suddenly, Pepper barked loudly from the end of the hallway. I pointed the flashlight toward her, but the beam flickered like something was blocking it. Pepper growled at the corner of the wall. I followed her gaze, and saw a tall, thin shadow stretching across the ceiling like a spider. It slowly crawled down the wall, stretching, twisting, taking shape. The same shadow from the door. The one that whispered my name. It spoke again, but this time its voice sounded wrong, like more than one person talking at the same time. You read the note, too late. Pepper barked at it, but the shadow didn't even flinch. It slid across the wall and dropped to the floor without a sound. Then it stood, right in front of us, blocking the hallway. A strange calm. I felt something strange. Not fear, not yet. But a weird calm, like the air itself was holding me still. The shadow tilted its head at me, like it was thinking. Why me? I asked softly. It answered. Because you opened your eyes. That made no sense. But nothing tonight made sense. Pepper stepped backward, pushing her body against my leg. I swallowed hard. If you want me, just take me. Leave Pepper alone. The shadow leaned forward, inches from my face. Then it said something that made my skin crawl. I don't want you. I want the one who warned you. My breath caught in my chest. What do you mean, the one who warned me? The shadow pointed a long, thin finger toward the front door. The note. Before I could ask anything else, the shadow vanished, like smoke sucked away by wind. Gone. Just like that. Pepper whimpered. My whole body shook. I walked slowly to the front door. My flashlight flickered again, but this time I saw something on the floor. Another note. Fresh. New. Still moving a little, like someone had just placed it there. I reached down and picked it up with shaking fingers. This one had only 3 words. Find the writer. The search begins. I should have stayed inside. I should have waited till morning. I should have ignored the notes. But something inside me said I had to go. I put Pepper's leash on her, grabbed my shoes, and stepped outside. The night air felt wrong. Too cold. Too quiet. Like the whole street was holding its breath. Pepper kept sniffing the ground, pulling me toward the old mailbox at the edge of the yard. There was something sticking out of it, something white. A small paper corner. Another note. I pulled it out slowly. The handwriting was the same, the rushed, messy style. But this one had a full sentence. I'm trapped. It's not me leaving the notes anymore. My stomach twisted. Not them? Then, who? Or what? Before I could finish reading the words, Pepper froze and started growling again. Her fur stood straight up. I looked up. Someone was standing across the street. Perfectly still. Watching us. I lifted my flashlight. And the person stepped forward into the light. My heart dropped. Because the person looked exactly like me. Same face. Same clothes. Same everything. Except the eyes. The eyes were empty. Black. Hollow. My double raised a hand and pointed at me slowly. Then whispered, You're not supposed to be outside. The streetlights flickered off. The air went silent. And the other me started walking toward us.